Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow classmates, hello, my name is Raleigh Harris. I'd like to take this opportunity, our first class speech, to give you a little better understanding of who I am and where I come from. For today's speech, I'll be talking about myself, and in doing so, I'd like to touch on three areas. I'd first like to discuss what I call my pre-military life, and that is my life up to the point where I joined the military. I'll then touch on my post-military life, that is the time of my life after joining the Air Force, and finally, I'll briefly talk about my future plans where I see myself in 10 to 20 years from now. So to start things off, I'd like to give you a brief history about my past, and that is the time leading up to the moment I signed that dotted line and swore to serve my country. So I was born April 20th, 1977 at a place called Kumsan Air Base, South Korea. My parents, Nolan and Yunsuk Harris, had met just 1.5 years before at the Base Enlisted Club, and at the time he was a fighter plane mechanic in the United States Air Force, and she was a waitress at the E Club. And well, as they say, the rest is history. My sister, Elena, and I, who by the way is 2 years younger, we grew up as military brats and moved from place to place throughout my father's career. We lived on military installations all over at locations such as California, Texas, Arizona, spent a few years in the Midwest, and even made our way back to South Korea while my father was stationed at Osan and Kumsan Air Force Base. My father eventually ended up retiring at a place called Castle Air Force Base, formerly located in the Central Valley of California. I ended up graduating from Atwater High School in 1995, received an Air Force ROTC, or Reserve Officer Training Corps scholarship, and headed off to Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin to study nursing. If you're wondering why Wisconsin, since I've never really been there before, long story, but let's just say that I'm a converted cheesehead now, so go Packers. To sum up my pre-military years, let's just say that I dabbled in the fine arts for a while. That is the art of social and fraternal development, and did a lot of soul searching for about 5.5 years to be exact. Finally, one day I met someone who told me where I could find my soul, and he called himself a recruiter. And over lunch one afternoon, my recruiter showed me where to sign, and it was off to the United States Air Force, and I've never looked back. So now that I've talked a little bit about my years before I joined the military, I want to spend a few moments talking about my life since I've joined the Air Force back in 2000. And upon completion of my basic military training, I ended up spending 2 years at the Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California, where I learned Korean for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and met my future wife. We married in April of 2001. At DLI, and I did a brief 6-month follow-on school at Goodfellow Air Force Base, Texas, before heading to my first duty assignment at Fort Meade, Maryland. Our oldest daughter, Layla, was born there, and Maryland is also where I grew an affinity for Chick-fil-A, for any of you from the East Coast. So in 2004, my family and I returned to Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California, and I studied for an additional year of intermediate language training, and my second daughter, Amara, was born there as well. I was subsequently assigned to Osan Air Base, South Korea in 2006 for a 1-year remote, that is, without my family. They stayed back in California and Oregon while I was gone, and we've since been reunited at my current duty location here at Hickam Air Force Base, Hawaii, since late 2006. So now that you know a little bit about my pre-military days, you've had a crash course on where I've been since joining the Air Force in 2000, I'd like to finally give you a brief description on my future plans and where I see myself within the next 10 to 20 years. With 10.5 years left till retirement, I'm currently taking this course as well as trying to finish up my BA in Intel Studies in order to open up as many doors as possible for me upon my retirement. My wife and I have discussed where we'd like to retire, but realistically, the job will most likely dictate where we settle down. Ideally, with the both of us from the West Coast, we'd like to settle somewhere in California, Oregon, or even Nevada. But we also know that my career field, linguistics, or even the Intel sector, is predominantly based on the East Coast. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I do know that I like working in the Intel career field, something that I enjoy and I find rewarding. So there you have it, my life and future plans in a nutshell. I've told you about the days before joining the military, my days since joining the military, and even a brief insight into my future plans. I hope you've all enjoyed this brief introduction to my life, and I truly look forward to learning more about each one of you as we embark on the next 6 weeks of this class. Thank you very much, and have a great day.